Hi, this is Paul Page at the Journal of Commerce. We're here at TPM Asia talking with Brian Conrad, Executive Administrator of the Transpacific Stabilization Agreement. Brian, there's been a lot of discussion here about the peak season. What's your assessment so far of how this peak season has gone? And it certainly seems as if we're at the tail end of it. Is there anything left?
I think you're absolutely right, Paul. I think we've pretty much come to the end of the peak season. There may be a little bit left, but I think it's for the most part, I think we can say it was a very short, unfortunately, short peak season. As you know, we put in a recommended peak season surcharge that was supposed to go into effect in June, and of course the volumes in June didn't materialize, so the carriers had to continue to postpone that. We finally were able to put that into effect in the middle of August, and for the most part, I think the carriers did get some extra money to offset some of the costs of the peak season for, I would say, probably a month to 6 weeks. And as I said, as demand has started falling off, as we've got the October holidays in China, and we're seeing slightly lower cargo volumes and utilizations now, I think you will see pretty much the peak season surcharge is pretty much coming off now as we head into the beginning of October.
Brian, one of the questions that we've had here, I see in the presentations, is this a lost year? Do you consider 2011 right now to be a lost year for the ocean carriers?
At this point, I would say yes. I would say it is a lost year. We're into October now. You know, the rates have come down quite a bit. You've got this supply-demand imbalance, which is continuing to put pressure on rates. You've got 2.5 months of the year left. Even if there was to be some sort of bottoming out and stabilizing of the rates, or even some improvement in the rates, it's doubtful that anything that can happen in the next 2 months is going to offset what happened for the rest of the year. So I think we're going to have to look on 2011 as a bit of a lost year.
Yeah, we had the economist Nicholas Kwan today said that he has nothing optimistic to offer for 3 to 6 months, but 10 to 15 years out, he's very optimistic. Is that good solace for carriers?
Not really. Not really. In fact, we're looking at the same sort of thing. Even when you talk to the carriers, have been talking to their own customers, and we can't even get a handle on what's going to happen in November or December as far as shipping is, the demand outlook is concerned. So it's still, I think, uncertainty is still the name of the game. And into 2012, it's really anybody's guess right now.
One of the questions you talked about supply-demand equilibrium. One question, though, is overcapacity. Drewry came out with a report saying that they believe there need to be, for financial reasons, more idle ships. That's the only way to address this. Do you have any assessment of what the potential is for capacity going forward?
Well, of course, within the TSA, we don't have capacity discussions. TSA is not permitted to exchange or discuss information about carriers' capacity plans. So that's really something individual carriers do themselves. But having said that, I mean, just on an overall basis, obviously the supply and demand imbalance has put pressure on the rates. I think as Rodolphe Sade said this morning, there are economies of scale with the larger vessels and with the increasing capacity, but there are also increased costs, continuing bunker costs, shoreside costs, all sorts of other things. And the carriers have in some way got to balance out additional volume, additional revenue, but also costs. And so at some point they have to make some decisions about whether it's going to actually be more cost effective for them to lay up some vessels. And again, we don't know that within TSA, but I think personally I wouldn't be surprised to see more and more vessel layups. To what extent that happens, I don't know. That's something the carriers are still, I think, even now sort of in the middle of doing the equations and trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, they really didn't idle the vessels that much after last year's peak season. They kept things going.
They did not, that's right.
We may see a difference certainly this year, I would imagine.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah. Brian, thank you very much.